Marhaba, ahlun wa sahlan. This is how they say around here. Hi, welcome. It's good to have you one more time for our final fruit of the Spirit. Let's start with a Bible text that says, "For God gave us spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control." 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. Power is nothing without control. The tire manufacturer Pirelli first used the successful slogan in an advertising campaign that showed American athlete Carl Lewis as a sprinter on the starting blocks wearing his legendary red stilettos. The photo was taken in Texas in 1994 and became an icon of advertising creativity. It conveys a message that has stood the test of time because it is anchored in the essence of the product, tires, but also speaks to us. In life, as in our cars, power is nothing without control. In 2018, Pirelli's annual report wanted to explore what the slogan meant 25 years later. Adam Greenfield was invited to come up with an article focusing on technology. He wrote, "The distinction between power and control ranks amongst the central challenges of our times. Our technologies offer us more and more power by the day, but the plain fact is that we haven't yet learned how to control them." With this slogan in mind, we come to the final fruit of the Spirit, self-control. Paul's message was to encourage believers in Galatia to surrender all and live by the Spirit rather than being guided by the flesh or their sinful human ways. Interestingly, you can quickly connect each of the 8 previous spirits mentioned by Paul's list with God. In the Bible, we find the teachings about the love of God, the joy of the Lord, the peace of God, as well as God's patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness. The only one that has no connection whatsoever to God is self-control. It's easy to understand why. Because different from you and me, God doesn't need to fight against a sinful nature. Just think for a moment and try to remember the last time you lost control and ended up doing something that you later regretted. That will never happen to God. He has everything under control all the time. Now you and me, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not so sure. You see, sin has a power of its own, and it operates against our best intentions. Paul knew too well about the evil influence of the flesh. Just read his experience in Romans chapter 7 when he addresses the law and sin. The apostle knew that the only power sufficient to keep it all under control is the Holy Spirit. So he adds this final piece of the Spirit's fruit. Back to the Pirelli slogan, Chris Wright notes, "You can have a massive power and energy coming from the engine of the truck, but unless it is kept under control where the rubber hits the road, things can get very dangerous indeed. Power has to be controlled to be safe." And that works the same way in our lives. We need the power of sin to be under the Spirit's control to be secure. The Dictionary of Bible Themes describes self-control as the physical and emotional self-mastery, particularly in situations of intense provocation or temptation. Self-control is a mental discipline that affects the whole person and his relationships. Solomon writes that self-control is the mark of a wise person. In Proverbs chapter 29, verse 11, we read, "A fool always loses his temper, but a wise person holds it back." At the end of the same book in chapter 25, verse 28, the king writes, "A man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls." Without self-control, we are defenseless, exposed, ashamed, and easily subject to defeat. The Greek word Paul uses for self-control occurs only 4 times in the New Testament, and it is also translated as temperance. In other words, Paul is encouraging you and me to restrain our appetites and human passions, following reason and not act on impulse. dear brother, sister, friend of our community of faith, please allow every area of your life to be under the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Paul began the fruit of the Spirit list with love, which is a quality that directs our thoughts, words, and actions toward others. And he ends with self-control, a virtue that controls us inward, but ultimately affects the world around us. Unless we exercise this necessary practice of self-control and live in a disciplined way, we won't be able to bear the rest of the fruit of the Spirit. May God guide you every day as you learn to develop self-control with His help. God bless you.